Eric Hall sat alone in the small control room, staring at the screens that filled the walls. The hum of machines and the soft blinking of lights were the only sounds. Outside the window, the mountains were dark under the night sky. But inside, the glow of screens made everything feel alive. Eric had been working the night shift for months, listening to signals from deep space, mostly empty noise. Tonight was no different. Or so he thought. He leaned forward and frowned. One screen showed a series of strange patterns, a signal unlike anything he had seen before. At first, he thought it was interference from satellites or a passing storm. He checked the calibration, restarted the receiver, and ran the filter again. The pattern stayed. It repeated, small bursts of energy in a rhythm that did not make sense. "Lisa," he called into the empty room. His voice sounded louder than he expected. "You need to see this. In down. Do this teen. After a moment, the door opened, and Lisa Grant walked in. She was tired, rubbing her eyes. "Eric, it's 2 a.m. What is it this time?" she asked. But her curiosity was stronger than her exhaustion. She leaned over the console and looked at the data. Eric pointed at the screen. "Look at the pattern. It's not random. It's repeating. And see here? These bursts form simple math sequences. It's like someone tried to send a message." Lisa blinked. The numbers and pulses were strange but regular. She adjusted the filters herself. As the signal cleared, she gasped softly. On the screen, a series of images appeared. They looked broken and strange. Burned ships floated in space. Small creatures with large eyes and thin limbs appeared, trapped in damaged stations. Beneath the images, a repeating sequence of numbers formed a simple message. It translated roughly into a plea. "Help. Anyone. Please help. It's a distress call," Lisa whispered. Her voice trembled slightly. She had heard of deep space signals before, but she had never seen one that clearly begged for help. "And it's coming from far beyond the solar system," Eric said. His fingers trembled as he checked the coordinates. "It's outside the range of any human missions. No one else has been there. Nobody has even sent probes that far." Lisa sank into a chair. "And who do we tell? NASA? Some international group?" Eric shook his head. "I've already sent the first report. The International Deep Space Committee will see it in the morning. But most of them will probably ignore it. They always do. Thanks for watching." He was right. The committee was made of officials and scientists from many countries. Most of them did not want to spend resources on unknown signals. Some even thought it might be a trick or a trap. A few members believed it was real, but they had no authority to act quickly. Eric and Lisa worked through the night. They cleaned the signal, enhancing the images and repeating the decoding process. Every few minutes, the images flickered. The creatures looked smaller than humans, but their expressions showed fear and pain. The ships around them were destroyed or badly damaged. Each frame made Eric feel colder inside. "Look at this," Eric said at dawn, showing Lisa a small scene. One alien floated in a torn harness, reaching toward a glowing panel that sputtered weakly. Its large eyes were full of hope and fear at the same time. "That's the one sending the message." Lisa leaned closer, holding her hand against the screen. "Poor thing. They are alone. Completely alone." She sighed. "And no one else has answered. We are the first to even see this." When the report reached the committee, the reactions were mixed. Some scientists insisted it was a natural signal, a cosmic pattern that humans misread. Others said it could be an intelligent message. But it was too far, too risky to respond. Political leaders argued that sending ships across so many light years was impossible. Some called it a trick to waste resources. In the hours that followed, the news began to leak online. Social media exploded. People debated whether the signal was real. Some thought it was a hoax or a viral marketing stunt. Others felt the weight of it and shared sad images of lonely stars and broken ships. Hashtags like number deep space help and number alien distress trended for hours. Eric spent the morning reading through online posts. He felt anger and sorrow. How could humanity see a clear plea for help and choose to do nothing? He remembered stories from human history. When cities were flooded or torn apart by earthquakes, people helped strangers even when it was dangerous. Why should this be any different? Lisa came back to the control room after a short break. She carried coffee for both of them. "I've been thinking," she said. "If nobody else will answer, maybe we have to do it ourselves." Eric looked at her, surprised. "Ourselves? You mean, send a ship?" "Yes," Lisa said simply. "We might not have permission from anyone, but Frontier Horizon has experimental ships. Maybe one can make the journey. It won't be easy, but at least we can try. If humans ignore this, I will never forgive us." Eric nodded. A strange excitement rose inside him. For the first time in his life, he felt that humanity had a chance to show what it could really do. Not for politics, not for fame, but because it was the right thing. They contacted Frontier Horizon, a private company that had been building experimental long-range ships. The first person to answer was Daniel Carter. A pilot known for his skill and courage, he had flown dangerous missions on Earth and in orbit. When he saw the signal images, he did not hesitate. "If no one else will answer," he said, "then we go. We answer their call. That is what humans do." Nina Brooks, the chief engineer at Frontier Horizon, checked the Aurora, the only ship capable of reaching the area. It was a test vessel, not built for deep rescue missions, but with modifications. It could survive. She studied the engines, the life support, and the shielding. "It won't be comfortable," she said, "but it will get us there." Eric, Lisa, Daniel, and Nina met in a small room at the Frontier Horizon facility. On the screen in front of them, the alien images played again. The creatures looked fragile, trapped, and alone. "We are the only ones who can go," Eric said softly. "If we ignore this, no one else will ever see them alive." Daniel nodded. "Then we go. Not because anyone orders us. Not for fame. Just because it is the right thing. Lisa tapped the console. "We have to move fast. Look at the signal. It is getting weaker. If we delay, they might die before we even reach them." They spent the next hours preparing plans. Frontier Horizon would provide the Aurora, equipment, and volunteers. The crew would need medical support, engineering expertise, and skilled pilots. Eric would handle communications, Lisa would manage coordination from Earth, Daniel would fly. Nina would maintain the ship. They had no guarantee of success. They had no idea what awaited them. The world outside continued its usual routine. Most governments ignored the calls. Some large space agencies said it was impossible. Many leaders argued that the aliens were not their responsibility. But the people who saw the leaked images felt differently. Donations, equipment, and messages poured in from ordinary citizens. Schoolchildren sent pictures of Earth, and words that said, "You are not alone." For Eric, Lisa, Daniel, and Nina, the decision was simple. They could wait like everyone else, hoping someone else would act. Or, they could do what humans had always done at their best moments. Answer the call. Even when the odds were impossible, they chose to go. Eric looked at the screen one last time before leaving the control room. The alien's small, glowing figure floated in space, still sending its message. He whispered, "We are coming. We will not leave you alone." Lisa touched his shoulder. "It is time. The world might not understand, but they will remember. We are the ones who will answer." Outside, the Aurora waited, its engines quiet, its hull gleaming under the hangar lights. Inside, a crew formed not because of orders, not because of fame, but because they could not ignore the plea of a being so far away, calling for help across the stars. They did not know the danger. They did not know if they would survive. But they knew one thing. If the aliens called, humanity would answer. And for the first time that night, the small lights of the aurora seemed to shine brighter, not just with electricity, but with purpose. The journey into the unknown was about to begin. The aurora sat quietly in the large hangar. Engineers moved around it, checking panels, welding small parts, and running final systems tests. The ship looked strong, but the crew knew it was still only a test vessel. It was not built for the deep reaches of space, for unknown dangers, or for saving alien lives. Still, it was all they had. Daniel Carter walked along the side of the ship, running a gloved hand over the smooth metal. He checked every hatch, every small crack, every seam. "This ship will take us far," he said to Nina Brooks, the chief engineer. "But it has to be perfect." Nina nodded. She had spent months preparing the Aurora for this journey. She had replaced engines, strengthened the hull, and added extra shielding against radiation. "It is ready," she said. "But only just. Every system has limits. We push them too hard. Something will fail. Every system, with came to own, where wafer most upon. Complies of the demitted. About scene ready. Complies of the demitted. Complies of the demitted. Complies." Olivia Price, the medical doctor, walked past them carrying a small medical kit. She had trained in disaster zones on Earth, in earthquakes and floods, and in war zones. Nothing she had seen compared to what they might face in deep space with unknown creatures. She opened her kit and checked supplies. Bandages, fluids, oxygen masks, and portable monitors filled the small container. She added a few human medicines that could help stabilize anyone injured. Jack Turner, a former firefighter, adjusted his tool belt. He had lost friends in a fire years ago, and he still remembered the fear in their eyes. Now he felt that same fear again, but also a strange sense of purpose. "If they need help, I will get them out," he said quietly. Eric Hall stayed behind in the small control cabin, listening to the alien signal one last time before departure. It had not changed much. The images of the small, weak alien floating in the broken station still repeated. The numbers and math patterns showed the same simple message. "Help. Anyone. Please help." Eric felt a deep weight in his chest. He had seen many signals before, but this one was different. It was urgent, real, and lonely. Lisa Grant worked in the command center on Earth. She coordinated with the small team at Frontier Horizon. She monitored weather, satellite positions, and communications. She also tracked public reaction. Most governments had refused to assist, calling the mission impossible or dangerous. But ordinary people around the world had sent letters, supplies, and money. Children had drawn pictures of humans and aliens holding hands under stars. The support gave Lisa hope. "They believe in us," she said quietly to herself. "And we cannot fail." Our video. Inside the Aurora, the crew ran final checks. Daniel tested navigation systems, simulating jumps and orbital paths. Nina ran engine diagnostics. Olivia and Jack trained in zero-gravity drills, practicing how to move, stabilize, and rescue someone in a damaged station. Eric monitored the alien signal in real time, while also keeping communications with Lisa on Earth. The journey would be long, and every hour counted. The signal appeared weaker than before, as if the sender was losing strength. The crew understood that if they delayed, the alien might not survive. "We need to leave tonight," Daniel said. "We cannot wait any longer. The faster we go, the better our chances." Nina nodded. "Engines are ready, life support is ready, the ship can hold us, and whatever survivors we find, it will be tight, but it will work." Olivia checked her medical kit again. "We are ready to help anyone, human or not," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed determination. Jack tightened his gloves. I'm ready for anything. Broken metal, fire, or zero gravity. If they need me, I go, Eric finally spoke. We have the coordinates. I have mapped a path based on the signal and the changes in strength. It will take months. But we can reach them if nothing goes wrong. The Aurora lifted from the hangar, with a low, powerful hum. The engines roared softly, vibrating through the floor. Outside, the sky was dark, and stars were just beginning to appear. Inside the ship, the crew felt the tension of leaving the known world behind. Earth would fade, and they would be alone in space. They passed through low orbit. The blue planet below looked peaceful, unaware of the lonely alien waiting for help far away. Lisa stayed in contact through the long-range communications. Her voice was steady, giving updates, instructions, and encouragement. She knew the journey would test them all. As the Aurora left the solar system, life inside became routine but tense. Daniel checked navigation constantly. Nina monitored the engines, making small adjustments to keep the ship stable. Olivia ran health checks on the crew, ensuring they were ready for emergencies. Jack maintained equipment, tools, and emergency kits. Eric watched the signal, noting small changes. They faced mental challenges as well as technical ones. Space was silent, cold, and vast. Days blurred together, and stars outside the windows became points of light, with no sense of distance. Olivia noticed tension in the crew. She held quiet talks with each of them, helping them focus, calm fears, and remember why they were there. Jack shared stories of his old team. He spoke of loss, fear, and the courage that had kept them alive in dangerous fires. He admitted he was afraid of failing again. Olivia reminded him that fear was natural, and that wanting to help was what made him human. Nina spoke about her childhood, fixing machines to help her family. She had never imagined those skills would take her to the stars. Daniel focused on the simulations, running emergency scenarios repeatedly until every move felt automatic. Halfway through their journey, the Aurora passed through a dense field of small meteors. Tiny rocks hit the hull, sounding like soft rain on metal. One small shard damaged an external sensor array. Jack volunteered for a spacewalk. Tethered to the ship, moving slowly in the void, he replaced the damaged parts. Pieces of rock zipped past him, a constant reminder of danger. He felt the familiar rush of fear, but also purpose. Each careful movement mattered. Inside, Eric discovered something new in the signal. There were small patterns that suggested more detailed coordinates, possibly showing the location of other survivors nearby. He shared this with Lisa and the crew. The map was incomplete, but it gave hope. The alien signal, though weak, was still active. It pulsed in a quiet rhythm, a reminder of life somewhere far away. The crew felt the weight of that small, persistent cry. It was the reason they were here. It was the reason they had left home, family, and comfort behind. As they moved closer to the signal source, the Aurora prepared for the unknown. The engines hummed steadily. Systems were double-checked. Emergency procedures were memorized. Each crew member knew that once they exited the faster-than-light corridor, there would be no turning back. The days were long. The crew ate simple meals, slept in shifts, and ran drills. They learned to live with the tension of isolation, with the constant presence of an urgent message across light years. Small victories, like a perfectly timed engine test or a clear reading from the sensors, were celebrated quietly. Finally, they reached the edge of the corridor. The stars outside stretched into lines as the Aurora entered faster than light travel. Eric watched the signal, noting that the delay shrank. Each pulse from the alien seemed more urgent. They were getting closer. Inside, the crew was silent. No one spoke much. The sense of anticipation was heavy. They knew the alien might be weak or dying. That time had not been kind. Every system of the Aurora worked perfectly. But space was unpredictable. Daniel guided the ship through the final moments of faster-than-light travel. The Aurora emerged near a dim star, far from any known system. Outside, sensors picked up wreckage, burned ships, torn stations, and floating debris. The alien signal pulsed faintly. Eric's heart raced. The creature was alive, but barely. The crew gathered at the main console. They stared at the wreckage, the evidence of destruction floating silently in space. Olivia checked medical kits. Jack checked tools and drones. Nina reviewed ship systems, ensuring they could handle rescue operations. Daniel prepared for careful maneuvers through the debris. Eric stared at the screen, seeing the alien's weak, glowing figure. He whispered, "We are here. We will not leave you alone." "Ah," Lisa's voice came through the long-range communicator. "We are watching. You are not alone. Remember why you went." The crew felt a strange mix of fear, relief, and determination. Months of preparation, risk, and hope had brought them here. The alien was waiting, and humans were ready to answer. They were the only ones who came. The Aurora moved slowly toward the signal. The unknown awaited. And in that quiet, fragile moment, the first step of rescue had begun. The Aurora moved slowly through the wreckage. Outside the windows, broken ships and twisted metal floated silently. The debris stretched in every direction, like a graveyard of stars. Eric watched the signal on the screen. It was faint now, almost a whisper, but it still pulsed with life. Daniel guided the ship carefully, avoiding larger pieces of wreckage. Every movement mattered. A single collision could destroy the Aurora, or crush any fragile survivor they found. Nina sat beside him, running engine adjustments and monitoring shields. Her hands moved quickly over the controls, steady and confident. "We need to find the source," Daniel said quietly. "Eric, can you track the strongest pulse?" Eric adjusted his instruments. The faint signal came from a small, damaged station at the center of the debris. The images showed weak lights flickering inside. "That's it," he said. "Someone is still alive there. I can't be sure how many, but there's movement. Small movement." Olivia checked her medical kits again. She organized bandages, fluids, and monitors, placing them where she could reach quickly. Jack went over rescue tools and drones, making sure everything worked for zero-gravity operations. "We have to move slow," Daniel said. "Any sudden push, and we could knock loose parts into them." The Aurora slowly approached the station. The outer walls were torn, metal bent, and melted in strange patterns. Small fires had burned in some places, leaving black streaks. Inside, a faint glow from emergency lights showed movement in one section. "That must be them," Olivia whispered. "They are alive, but weak." Jack set up a small drone. It floated ahead of the Aurora, cameras and lights shining into the station. Images appeared on a screen. Small alien figures were huddled in a corner, thin and fragile, with large dark eyes. Some were connected to damaged life support panels, while others tried to help each other. "They are not human," Eric said, pointing at the screen. "But they are clearly intelligent. Look at how they reach for each other, how they try to use the machines." Daniel docked the Aurora carefully. The airlock was damaged. Jack examined it and quickly patched small gaps with emergency foam. After several tense minutes, the pressure stabilized. The crew put on helmets and prepared to enter the station. Nina carried tools and power supplies. Olivia carried medical kits. Jack held cutting tools and drones. Daniel followed, controlling the ship in case they needed a fast retreat. Eric stayed behind, monitoring communications and the alien signal. The corridor was dark and cold. Twisted metal hung from the ceiling. Debris floated slowly in zero gravity. The crew moved carefully, shining lights ahead and making sure not to disturb anything too much. The smell of burned metal was strong, even through their helmets. They reached the control room. It was small, with broken consoles and floating debris. In the center was a single alien, sitting in a harness. It was thin, gray, and fragile. Its large eyes stared at them with fear and confusion. Eric noted that this must be the one sending the signal. Olivia stepped forward slowly. She raised her hands, showing she meant no harm. The alien flinched and tapped a console. Lights flickered, and a translator device activated. Simple images floated in the air. One showed a blue and green world, now blackened and damaged. Another showed ships attacking. Finally, a figure tapped a small console repeatedly, sending the same simple message as before. Help. Anyone. Please help. They have tried everyone, Lisa said quietly through the comms. Look at this. No one else came. The crew felt a heavy silence. These creatures had sent signals across the galaxy, hoping someone would answer. Only humans had come. Olivia approached slowly. She used gentle touches to check the alien's condition. Its breathing was shallow. Its pulse was weak. She gave fluids and warmth. The alien flinched at first, but slowly relaxed. Jack and Nina moved through the room, setting up portable lights and sensors. They prepared drones to explore other parts of the station. Small life signs were visible in the next room. Another huddled group of aliens, all weak, all frightened. Daniel guided the Aurora to maintain docking stability. Eric monitored the signal, comparing data with images from the station. He realized that other survivors were trapped nearby, and their life support systems were failing. Olivia moved between aliens, carefully stabilizing them. She had no knowledge of their biology, but she applied human techniques: warmth, fluids, and gentle pressure. To her surprise, many responded. The alien pulse grew steadier. Small movements increased. The translator device allowed simple communication. The alien, whose name sounded like Sira, used images and symbols. It showed their home world, now destroyed. It showed hostile ships attacking. It showed the call for help being ignored by the galaxy. Finally, it pointed to the humans, a symbol of hope and trust. Eric whispered, "We are the only ones who came. They know we are different. They know we are trying to help." The crew set up a temporary base inside the control room. The Aurora could not bring all the aliens back at once. Jack organized drones to map the station and locate other survivors. Nina prepared small habitats with power, oxygen, and gravity. Olivia worked tirelessly, moving between the aliens, checking vitals, and keeping them stable. Hours passed. More aliens were found, weak and frightened. Each rescue was tense. Some corridors collapsed, forcing quick thinking and careful movement. Jack cut through twisted metal, while Olivia held aliens steady. Nina adjusted power and life support systems to stabilize damaged sections. Daniel guided the Aurora to new positions, allowing drones to reach areas unreachable by humans. Eric tracked signals and reported locations of life signs. Slowly, they rescued one group after another. Sira watched the humans. At first, it seemed confused, even fearful. But over time, it showed signs of understanding. Images of gratitude appeared on the translator. The humans were the first to risk themselves to save lives. The alien seemed to recognize that. Olivia realized that the aliens were learning from humans. They imitated gestures of care, handing weak companions to others, helping move injured creatures. Small teamwork grew, even in the middle of destruction. Daniel said, "Look at them. Even after all this, they are still trying. But without us, they would not survive." Nina added, "We are not just rescuing them, we are teaching them to survive, to trust someone else." Eric smiled quietly. "And they are teaching us something too. Humanity is more than technology. It is compassion, courage, and action." By the end of the day, the crew had found most survivors. They were weak, but alive. Temporary habitats were established. Small power sources kept lights and life support running. The Aurora was ready to transport some of the aliens if needed. Olivia sat beside Sierra, checking its vitals again. She said softly, "You are safe now. We will not leave you alone." Sierra responded by tapping the translator, showing an image of the galaxy, a small blinking dot, and the humans standing beside it. The symbol was simple: ally, friend, and home. Jack prepared drones for one last sweep. Nina monitored the Aurora. Daniel plotted potential routes back to Earth, though they would need careful planning. Eric reviewed all signals, making sure nothing was missed. The crew realized that this station was only the beginning. More survivors might be scattered in the debris. The galaxy had turned away, but humanity had answered. Sierra moved slowly among the humans. It did not speak words, but gestures showed trust. It pointed to areas of the station, indicating where humans should go next. Small alien gestures and human gestures combined into teamwork. They rescued more creatures together. Olivia treated minor injuries. Fluids were given. Weak creatures were wrapped in blankets or makeshift suits. Jack removed floating debris. Nina repaired power and oxygen lines. Daniel guided the Aurora in precise adjustments. Eric tracked signals and confirmed the locations of survivors. As night fell on the distant star, the station glowed with small lights. Humans and aliens worked side by side. The rescued were breathing steadily, nigh, showing faint signs of strength returning. Sierra moved slowly among them, finally stopping to touch a human hand gently. It was the first real contact. A sign of trust. Daniel said quietly, "We have done more than save lives. We have shown them that someone cares. No one else came. Only we did." "We," Olivia nodded. "And that is what matters. They are alive. That is enough for now." Eric looked at the alien signal on his screen. It was no longer weak and fading. It pulsed steadily, a sign of hope. Humanity had answered a call that no one else would. The Aurora crew knew that they would not leave yet. More work was ahead. They had to stabilize the station fully, prepare for transport of survivors, and make plans for the long journey back to Earth. But for now, they allowed themselves a small moment of relief. In the quiet, floating station, humans and aliens worked together. In a galaxy that had abandoned them, they were the only light, and that small, fragile light would grow stronger with every act of care, every rescue, and every choice to help.